welcome to this episode of Joy's World, the podcast. I'm Joy, obviously, and today I have a very, 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 very special guest, someone who I've wanted to get on my podcast since I literally heard her on her podcast. She is the one and only Oloni. Oloni, welcome.
Hey, Joy, thank you so much for having me. And I love the way you pronounced my name. You said it correctly. I deal with so many variations and you
Really?
pronounced it. So yeah, amazing effortlessly.
Thank you. No, I love you, honestly. And
I love you too.
Oloni, my first question to everybody when I interview them is, how are you feeling today? And I don't just want a generic, like, I'm fine. Like, I want to know how you actually are feeling. Like, are you tired? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you horny? How are you actually feeling today?
You know what? I feel like I'm a bit overwhelmed, but I don't think it's a bad problem to have. I think it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. It just means that I'm working a lot and I have things to look forward to. Even if it's not tomorrow, it's work that will show me, that will be a good outcome in the next couple of weeks, months, or who knows, maybe a year. I think about it quite often and always tell myself, no matter how overworked you feel, always remember that it's a good problem to have,
100%.
but make sure you get the rest that you need. So yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, just a bit overwhelmed.
You're booked and busy, that's why.
Definitely, I would definitely say booked and busy. Half the time I never know what I'm doing. I always have to look at my calendar and be like, oh shoot, yeah, this is going on. But yeah, no, I'm good. How are you? How are you feeling?
Do you know what? I'm okay. Today, I'm okay. Like, I go up and down. I talk a lot on my podcast about my depression, and sometimes I feel like shit, but I come on here and I say, like, when I'm feeling like shit. But today, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling like more positive. And like you, I'm not booked and busy. I'm not, but I'm trying to get booked and busy. So I'm trying to, like, keep myself going. Do you know what I really enjoy actually is cleaning? Like, that sounds really weird, but I really enjoy like cleaning. I feel like it takes my mind off of things, and I feel like it gives me something to do. If I'm like, boom, okay, do some laundry, wash up, do something, like, you know, weird, but I try to keep myself busy through the day.
It is a good thing to do. No, cleaning definitely does. I always have to be on the phone as I'm cleaning because I never really take notice that I'm actually cleaning because I'm too busy yapping. By the time you're done with your cord, you're just like, oh my god, my house is spotless.
Yeah, I'm either on the phone, I listen to music, or I listen to podcasts. I find listening to podcasts while I wash up helps me with, like, forgetting what I'm even doing, which actually nicely brings me on to my next question, which is, so I discovered you from Laid Bare podcast. I can't remember who told me about it initially, but I listened to it and I was like, oh my god, who are these ladies? This is fucking amazing. So talk to me a bit about Laid Bare. I love it, but tell me about it. Why did you start it?
Thank you. No, so Laid Bare is my baby. It's a sex and relationship podcast. It's a very naughty one, so if you're under 18, please don't listen. But I started it because I just realized that there wasn't really an outlet for Black women to be open about their sexuality, especially British women, you know, who were born in the diaspora. That just wasn't something that I'd ever seen growing up or heard of. And I thought to myself, you know, why isn't this being done? Because I'd always written about sex, I'd always written about dating, always written about relationships, but I wanted women to feel comfortable in talking about it without feeling that they should be ashamed or that they should be looked at funny. And to know that, you know, women who just look like myself and you are having sex, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to talk about it. We all do it. We all have our stories to share, but I find that a lot of women don't have those type of friends. Sometimes you might have a friend who might be a bit dirtier than the rest in terms of like what they like to talk about, and they might want to hold back because they feel like their friends aren't that open about it. So they're just like, okay, can't do this. But you know what? You've got Laid Bare who is there. You can have that conversation with us. You can send in your questions or just join in the conversation as well. So yeah, I would definitely say that's what Laid Bare is and why I started it.
And talk to me a little bit about SJ, lovely SJ, shout out to her. Yeah. How did you guys meet? Like, what is your friendship? I'm not sure of the backstory there.
So I actually found SJ across social media and I just thought, oh my God, this girl is beautiful. I saw that she was a model and she was this very glammed girl. And I said, you know what? I would love someone who's a bit younger and would be able to give me their perspective, because at the time it was just myself and Scotty Unfamous. She's no longer on the show anymore, but at the time it was me and Scotty, who were, at the time when I first started Laid Bare, I think I was around like 27, 28. So, and Scotty, who was also in her early 30s at the time. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you've got our perspective, but we need a perspective from someone who's a bit younger. And I thought to myself, she's really gorgeous. I wonder if she's open about sexuality. So I just jumped on a call with her and it was honestly like, we just clicked. I don't know if it's because SJ is a Leo, but she's very down to earth and she just gets on with anyone. Like you can put her anywhere. She'll get along with anyone. Like she just adapts. And I loved that she was very sex positive in just speaking to her, and she was more than open to like talk about her sexual experiences. You know, it wasn't we didn't really want someone who was you know, I don't know, like a doctor who could like tell you about different bits of your, you know, the female anatomy. I just wanted someone who could be very open and expressive about their sexuality, who was just younger, so we can get that point of view as a Black woman, because I think it was important. And then yeah, that was it. I literally just met her on socials and we clicked, and here we are today.
That's so nice. I think it's really nice when people meet people on social media and actually create real friendships. I feel like that's really positive. And another thing I wanted to ask you was, so obviously you and SJ, you speak about sex a lot. Obviously you have done, you know, various writing and loads of stuff about sex and relationships. Now, on my podcast, I am very open. I talk about my sex life. I talk about everything basically to do with my life.
Yeah.
And at first I was really nervous to talk about sex and say like, you know, what I like, what I don't like, you know, just talking about dicks and vaginas in general, because I was worried about people's perceptions of me and things like that. Was you ever nervous when you first started? So let's go back years. When you first started talking about sex, was you ever nervous about people's reactions to it?
Yeah, I was. I think it was mostly before I did the podcast, though. I think this was when I started talking about sex in general. So the podcast for me to talk about sex wasn't really a big deal because I'd already been doing it. So just putting a voice to a face wasn't really much of a difference. It was when I was writing and blogging about sexuality and dipping my toe into it, you know, in the beginning, I would say I was just a bit nervous because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm this Nigerian girl, raised in a Christian home, and I'm here talking about sexuality and dating. But I had to talk about sexuality, in my opinion, because how do we talk about sex in such a where we have this generation of the hookup culture and what dating is like in general now? How do you not talk about sex? Like, sex is part of the game, whether we like it or not. And
exactly. And everyone's doing it.
Everyone's doing it. Everyone is doing it. You know, there's someone out there right now who is literally trying to grab a cum rag because they've just finished having sex. So there's someone in the world, probably many people in the world, everyone is doing it, but it's so taboo. And, you know, hopefully we break those stigmas, because, you know, breaking those stigmas means better sex education for all.
They could be doing it while they're listening to us.
Exactly.
Who
Exactly.
knows? Do you know what I mean? Who knows?
I just saw a tweet actually, which was quite disturbing, which was from someone who said that they only listen to the podcast because they want to masturbate to SJ's voice, and I was just like, Jesus Christ! Like, I mean, I know, I was just like, crikey. I mean,
they could have kept that to themselves.
They could have kept that to themselves, and I've always said, you know, there's someone out there who is masturbating to your picture, and I've always accepted that. Like, there's just, people are freaks, you know, do whatever you want in your private confinement, but there is someone who is doing something to please themselves out there.
But we don't want to know about it.
Yeah, please keep it to yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking about like hookups and things like that, I know that you guys have spoken about it on your podcast, and you interviewed a guy, I can't remember his name, but I think he ran some sex parties.
Yes.
I can't remember the name.
episode. Yeah, I think I remember that episode actually. I'm trying to remember myself.
So obviously, and I remember actually you said in one of your podcasts that you don't think you could really go to a sex party nowadays because obviously you have a name and people know who you are. And I know some of them are like anonymous where you can wear like masks and stuff, but so obviously I'm not famous, so it's not that. But with me, with my disability, I use a cane, right? And obviously I can't see, so it's like I feel the same. Like I can't go to a sex party and be anonymous. I'll be like, who's that blind girl in the corner walking into a fucking wall? So I don't know what to do about this.
You could be a spectator. Do you know what? I think, I still think that you could still be. See, that's the thing. I would want to be a spectator because even if it was wearing a mask, I would want to go just to experience it. And you never know. I think that could be the same for you. Like, just go just to experience it. You don't have to get involved because people are just there just to enjoy themselves sometimes, right? And they're just there to play games. I think the person that was on my show, I think they expressed that you don't even need to have sex, of course. Like, that's just a given. We all know. But there's other things that are happening. So imagine it just being an experience. You can just experience it and not have sex. And I've been thinking about it lately, and I've said, you know what? I might actually go to a sex party, and I might not. I might have sex. I might not. Probably won't. Let's be real. But I think it would be a nice experience, just something to tick off my bucket list. Would you not want to do the same thing?
Yeah, but no, the having sex is not the problem. It's just like, I don't know, like I'm just worried about, I don't know, like people being like, oh, I saw this joy. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, that day I might have to fold up my cane and just grab someone's arm and be like, babe,
why not? Why not? You should go with a friend, go with someone who you feel like is on the same wavelength as you and just as experimental, or like, just has the same type of interest that you do when it comes to sex and fun. And just be like, would you be down? I think that'd be interesting. So I'll probably do that with one of my male friends. I used to have a guy. There used to be this guy that I used to sleep with, and he actually invited me to one. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? If I ever do go, it might just be with you because we're on the same, like, he gets me, I get him. We won't be having sex anytime soon. But I guess he just thought, if she's sex positive, she might be down, and maybe he saw me as his little support system. I have no idea, but
it's always good, I guess, to go with someone that you're comfortable with. I think that's definitely better. I mean, you never know. 2021, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we've gone through COVID, and so who knows? I might try it one day. You never know. My next question is, so when I tell men that I talk about sex on my podcast, their kind of reaction is like, oh, do you want to give me a blowjob? Like, anytime they hear about women talking about sex, it just, they just think that we're all like free for all. So with what you do, what has the reaction been from men to your podcast and your writing and everything like that? What has the reaction been?
It's always been the same. I think, like, I'm so used to guys just knowing now that it's never really a conversation. I'm trying to think, because we've been in COVID for so long, I'm trying to think, like, what is usually the reaction? I mean, when I go to like social gatherings and people realize that it's me that they're speaking to, it doesn't always start with sex, and if it does, I like leave the conversation immediately. It's mostly women who come up to me and want to tell me about their whole sex lives or the dilemmas they might be going through with their partners. They're just like, Oloni, so I'm going through this. I've had guys try and tell me that they've got a dilemma in their relationship as a pickup line. So there probably is no woman in this, in the story. It's just a way to try and speak to me, or I don't know, gauge a bit more about who I am, or like what I'm really like. But I would say it's usually women, to be honest. Anytime guys even try to talk to me about sex, I shut it down immediately, especially if I don't know you like that. I don't even think my own male friends talk to me about sex, like, unless I bring it up. I'm usually the one who wants to talk about sex when it comes to male friends. But I'm trying to think the last time, like, guys ever spoke to me about sex. I think a lot of guys know I do have like no nonsense attitude. So if you ever did try to talk to me about sex without my consent, or in a weird space, I would just shut it down.
Yeah. Do you ever get tired talking about sex and relationships, like
Absolutely.
outside of work? Do you ever be like, I don't want to talk about it right now, okay?
Absolutely. No, it's because I think people forget that it is a job for me. Just like people go into work every day and they have their 9 to 5. It's my 9 to 5 or my 24/7 really. And sometimes I don't want it to be my 24/7. Although I enjoy talking about sex and I love talking about different trends or different conversations around dating and relationships. Do I always enjoy talking about sex? No, not really. Sometimes I want to talk about pop culture. Sometimes I want to talk about Cardi B. Sometimes I want to talk about I don't know, space. Sometimes I want to talk about I don't know, just different things. You know what I mean? So
yeah, because there's so much more to you than that. But I guess if people hear that and see that from you, they kind of just assume that, you know, that's what you want to talk about 24/7. And I'm sure it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's not. It's fun, and don't get me wrong, I love talking about sex. So when I get going, you listen to the podcast. So when we talk about sex and relationships, like we can't stop. You know, sometimes we're sad and we have to round up. But when there's different layers to everyone. I'm sure there's many layers to you as well, Joy. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
And I think that's why, as I say, I think that's why I kind of started my podcast, in terms of like, I wanted to talk about sex and sex with a disability. And I also wanted to talk about being a parent. And I also wanted to talk about friendships. I wanted to talk about depression. I wanted to talk about so many things. And that's why I kind of create this umbrella of like Joy's World, because it wasn't just one aspect, you know, of me. So when it comes to sex and being with partners, do you ever feel pressure? Because obviously, you know, you give other people advice. Do you ever feel like you go into like relationships or situationships feeling like, I've got to be amazing in bed because this man or woman is expecting that of me?
Okay, so first of all, it's 2021. We don't do situationships. Okay, we say goodbye to those. You're either here or you're not. Number two, do I feel pressure to perform? No, I feel like it's my sex partners who usually feel more pressure, because I know what I know what I bring to the sex table. You know, so it's usually, I feel sorry for them, to be honest, because I feel like if they don't, you know, if they don't reach a certain goal, or I don't know, if they don't live up to my expectation, I feel like they're usually afraid I might annihilate them on the podcast. You know, it's like, oh my god, don't talk about this on the podcast. You're not going to talk about this on the podcast. You're not going to mention this on the podcast, are you? You know, and I've had.
But then, do you feel like you ever have to like kind of comfort them into being like, look, it's like, because you know, like every time we have sex is not always great. It's not like everyone doesn't always put on their best performance. So do you find that you either find men that are like, I'm gonna show Oloni that I'm the best, or do you get men that are like, I'm really shy to see with Oloni, but I really like her? Like, do you feel like
I get guys who are very confident, and I like confident guys. I mean, I feel like ever since I've been doing the podcast, if I'm being very honest, I haven't had bad sex. I would definitely say before the podcast, or before I was in a relationship, because I was in a relationship for a very long time in my 20s. So I would say before that relationship I feel like I got all the bad sex out of the way. So all the bad sex, all the mistakes, you know, I really, you know, I went for my little training, if we could say that. So I knew what to do. I understood pleasure. I became I stopped being did I stop being? No, I became more of a selfish lover when I went into my relationship, because I felt like I understood sex more, and I understood that I was supposed to experience pleasure just as much as a guy, which is something sadly I wasn't really you know, I wasn't really drawn to before. Like that wasn't a thing for us before. But I was with a partner who was just as much a he enjoyed being pleased, and he was definitely a pleaser. I feel like there's so many women who just sleep with men who just want to be pleased. They don't want to do the pleasing, and by the time the sex is done, it's, did you come or did you finish? And it's just like, no, not.
No. And you know what, hold that thought, because we're going to come back to that in a minute. But I wanted to talk to you a bit about, I know like on your podcast you always promote safe sex, and so I wanted to talk to you about safe sex and contraception. because I find that the contraception options out there are, personally for me,
Scary.
I have found one that I kind of feel like is going to work for me.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm very shit at taking tablets, so I'm not going to take the pill. I don't want the injection because I don't want to be going to the clinic every 3 months. It's difficult, especially when you have a disability, even accessing a sexual health clinic. And I was speaking about this with Lala, who we both did her podcast a while ago. I interviewed her, and I was speaking to her about my experiences at the sexual health clinic and how shitty it is, you know, the judgment that you kind of get and the assumption that you're not having consensual sex as well. It's kind of like more of a pity party rather than like, you know, what do you need? Are you okay? Like, do you want, you know?
That's why they all need training, because, you know, because your story is different to mine, but I can relate. Do you know what I mean? Because and when I say I relate, I mean that it just shows that there's so much training that needs to be done when it comes to clinics and when you're dealing with nurses, because I've had nurses who have fucked me over and that I should really have reported. I have nurses who have made me feel uncomfortable, you know, and just like you've just mentioned as well, that pity party, and I'm sure you were uncomfortable. Am I right?
100%. Yeah. Uncomfortable, and I just didn't want to go back because I was like, if this is the judgment I'm getting, like, I'm just like, might as well just, and then how do you be safe? How do you protect yourself? How do you get regular STI tests? Do you know what I mean? When you don't even want to go to that place.
Yeah, I always, like, when I'm going to the clinic, I have to book the whole day out. Like, when I say the whole day out, I mean, I'm not doing anything that day. I'm just going to the clinic. Because I remember when I was younger, if I was going to the clinic, I don't know, it's always stuck with me. I just knew that I wasn't doing anything else that day because it's so long. I don't think it's not like that anymore. Do you know what I mean? And there's different ways, of course, you can do STI. You know, you can get tested for an STI, which is by doing a home kit as well, which you can send off. But, you know, when it comes to contraception in general, I completely feel you. Honestly, I've always hated hormonal contraception, never been a fan of it, but I also enjoy feeling a penis inside of me without a condom. So what do we do?
What do we do? And pulling out is not enough.
Yeah.
That's what I have to keep telling men. Pulling out is
not enough. Yeah, the withdrawal is not contraception at all.
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard. Would you ever trust a man? So I can't remember. I don't know. Is the male pill, is that a thing? I know they was trying it.
They're trying it. They're going back on it. They're passing it. Then they're going back on it. I've heard so many things. So I don't think anything's official. I think they're still going through rounds and rounds. Last thing I ever heard about it was that they're scared because it could cause mental health problems for men or some sort of problem.
Oh, poor men.
Poor men. Like, oh wow, it sounds a bit familiar.
Never mind us.
Yeah, never mind us. All the crap we've got to take. Honestly.
Would you trust a man though? Say they created this pill and it was fine and it worked. Would you trust a man that said, "I'm on the pill, babes"?
If I was in a relationship, yes. Maybe a hookup, no. Casual sex partner, yes. And I think the reason why I say that is because I feel like there's different levels to the trust you give each person. Like, if I'm in a relationship with you, I don't want a kid, you don't want a kid. It just doesn't make sense as to why you wouldn't take it. If we've got hookup going on, I wouldn't, you know, I'd be a bit iffy, but I'd probably still tell you to wear a condom. Just because, you know, I don't know who else you're having sex with, and that's the thing. Condoms actually protect you from STIs. You can inject yourself a million times or take swallow as many pills as you want. You know, it's going to protect you from STIs. Unless they discover a pill that can. Oh, I would love that though. They need to do that. A pill that you can take and also protects you from STIs. Not just the antibiotics. But yeah, it definitely, there's different layers to each type of person that you're intimate with in terms of trust that I would give when it comes to taking contraception.
What is your go-to condom? Like, what would you recommend?
Oh, Magnum. I did a TikTok video the other day, which was quite interesting. It was funny because it was a large condom and I put my hands in it. And it was just to show that, you know, people make excuses. Because I've actually gone out with a guy, I remember, and I did actually see him put on a condom. He put it on in front of me, but it tore. And I just thought to myself, there's no way you don't know your condom size or what condoms you're supposed to buy, you know? I mean, the sex was amazing. We didn't wear a condom. It was amazing. It was amazing. I'm having flashbacks now. But but you know, I would definitely say Magnum condoms are amazing. They come in different sizes as well. It has the lube, you know, feel as well. There's lube on it. And that's what a lot of condoms need, lube, because, you know, guys just put a condom and they just want to jam it inside of you. And sometimes girls can be a bit afraid to like put a bit of lube on. So condoms that come lubricated are just, they're amazing.
So I have a friend. A friend.
Yes.
A friend
yeah.
who sometimes may start off with a condom.
Yeah.
Halfway through the session, said friend likes to take off said condom and then regrets it after. Okay. I mean, what would you say to that friend?
Okay, so that friend is okay with taking off the condom. So it's her idea. Okay.
Yeah,
first of all,
she does it.
Yeah, okay. Because first of all, because I did a little gasp there because I was just like, okay, first of all, we need to make sure this is consensual. So it's consensual. Okay. Listen, girl, we've all done it. Who hasn't done it? You know, the first round, you're wearing a condom, but the second and third, you're like, fuck it, just take it off. I would definitely say friend needs to make sure that one, she gets the morning after pill. There's 2 types she can take, which is the 3-day morning after pill. There's also the 5-day, but of course, the longer you leave it, the higher the risk of pregnancy. And the longer you leave it, it's definitely the higher chances of pregnancy. But you also need to tell Fran that she needs to get her ass on contraception and just make sure that she's clean and that the person that she's having sex with is clean as well. Such an interesting word that we use, the word clean, because I've always said that STIs don't make you dirty.
100%.
So we need to change that word. The more progressive I try to become with sex, the more I actually pay attention to the language that I use. But I would definitely say that friend just needs to make sure that she just don't have no STIs and the partner that she's with doesn't have any STIs, and that they both get checked regularly. I would suggest once every 3 months. And when you do get an STI check, sadly STIs do not show up properly till like I would say 2 to 3 weeks. So don't think that just running to the clinic the next day after you've had that unprotected sex and you get an STI, it won't. I don't think it'll come up. It might do, but I don't think it will. So definitely go to the clinic or go online and get the pill, and wait a couple of weeks to get an STI check just to make sure you're all good.
I'll tell her.
Please do.
I'll tell her you said, you know, I'll definitely tell her.
Like, tell her I get it.
You know what I mean? She just,
But do you know what I mean? It's like that feeling after you're just like, it's like a regret. You just start regretting. Have you ever been to the clinic and you just start praying to God? You're like, God, if I'm good, like I promise I'll never fuck again.
No, I'm telling you, right? I'm just gonna be really honest, yeah. Years ago, I got an STI. I got chlamydia, right? I got chlamydia.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, so you see, like when you're at the clinic and then they tell you, and in my head I'm like, God. So first of all, I'm angry at the person, then I'm angry at myself, and then I'm just angry at everybody, and I'm like, I'm never gonna do this again. I'm always using. I'm gonna, you know, when they give you condoms at the clinic, and I'm like, yeah, give me 2. Why did
it happen?
It
happened.
No,
it happened.
It's like at the time you regret it, and then what happens?
You're just back. Know. You're back to often pine. You're back. But
it's hard,
you know what? That's the thing. And chlamydia is like one of the most common STIs, and I always compare it to like having a cold. If you've got a cold and you're around someone, there's a chance that they might get that cold. They might not necessarily, because their immune system could be really, really good, or you know, and they just might be unlucky and get that cold. But you know, if humans can just be around each other and get sick, what makes you think that if you're doing one of the nastiest things, and sex is very nasty, it's good, but it's nasty. You know, if you're on top of each other, inside each other, you've literally got your germs going back and forth. Do you know what I mean? There is a chance that if someone has something that it can be picked up, and that's completely fine. Just as long as you're being, you know, you're being sex positive. And when I say sex positive, I mean doing what you did, which is you made sure you got yourself sorted. You went to the clinic, and I'm sure you got antibiotics. They probably told you what for a week, gave you a bit of gave you some condoms, and you're off on your way.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah,
close
no,
to it.
it's such a stigma, isn't it? Like even now, it's still a stigma to go to the STI clinic, get tested. People don't like to talk about it, but I think, as you say, it's really important that we keep doing it. And that's why, as I say, I feel like your podcast Laid Bare, it you talk about that and you make it okay, you know, like we're all doing it, we're all having sex, then we all need to get tested for said sex that we may not be having. You obviously are very sex positive and sex confident, I would say, and it's something that I'm learning to be, especially now. I'm 26 now. When I was younger, I lost my virginity at 19, and I definitely wasn't back then, but now I'm learning to be just, you know, more confident in myself and then in my sex life. But I wanted to know, what would you say to somebody listening, a woman listening to this podcast now, who may be in a relationship or not, having sex and not really enjoying it, but just doing it to go with the flow, go with the motions? What advice would you give to somebody in that situation who's not maybe as confident to kind of tell their partner what they want sexually?
Well, I would definitely say make sure you're having sex for yourself, first of all. So if you're not really into it, you need to ask yourself why, and you need to, I don't know, try and rediscover who you are in terms of sex. So rediscover your own sexuality by yourself. And once you've done that, if you're ready to bring another person to the equation, maybe another person, maybe two, maybe three, who knows, you need to make sure that you're communicating with that person and you're letting them know what it is you enjoy in the bedroom and what it is you don't like. You need to also make sure that you're having sex with someone that you're compatible with, because there's too many women out there who are having sex with guys who don't enjoy eating women out, who don't enjoy eating us, but women are doing it to them. And, you know, listen, kudos to you if you enjoy doing it, because someone has to. It's not going to be me, but someone else has to. And that's completely fine. But what I want is for women to understand that they don't come last when it comes to sex. And to sometimes they should just come first and maybe tap out and say, listen, second round, you know, second round is yours. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would love if women had sex with the type of confidence that men do, in terms of, I say that, but then when I think about it, who really wants the confidence of some straight men? Because sometimes they just don't know what they're doing. But what I really mean to say is that I would want women to truly not feel shy or feel like they can't be bold or feel like they can't ask for anything in the bedroom. You should be able to communicate, and you should only be having sex with someone who is, you know, reciprocating the same sexual energy that you give off in the bedroom as well. Again, if you feel like you're too shy or you're too nervous or you don't really want to know how to speak up in the bedroom, don't have sex yet. Don't have sex with that person. Or perhaps if you do want to, do it bit by bit. Like, you know, start off doing something that doesn't have to be full on blown sex. It can just be touching, it could be cuddling, and it could be, you know, I don't know, caressing each other. It could be fingering or giving each other a hand job or whatever it might be, and work at that and do that well until you feel like, you know, this person, I feel like the sex is going to be incredibly amazing with this person, because I feel like the way he fingers me or the way he kisses me or the way he plays on my boobs is really good. I know I'll feel comfortable when communicating to him between the sheets when we are having sex. And I feel like those little things show you what type of lover someone is going to be in the bedroom. I've had conversations with guys where I've just said to myself, this guy's going to be amazing in bed, and we've had sex and they were amazing in bed. And I could just tell, just through the conversation, I could tell we'd probably be sexually compatible, and I was right. Or maybe they were just scared and they didn't want me to bash them on the podcast, so they had to put in work. Actually, no, it was. He told me. He actually told me. He told me he was nervous, and he said, listen, if I don't, this girl's going to finish me on her podcast. And so, yeah.
It's mad though, isn't it? Because I feel like a lot of women are having sex to please a man. Like, I think, and especially when you're younger, you know, like let's say 18, 19, 20, I do feel like a lot of women don't feel that confidence. And so that's why, again, I say it again, I feel like laid bare has been, you know, it's been an eye-opener for me, just in terms of knowing that, do you know what, we should be more selfish and actually have sex for ourselves, not because the man wants it, because we want it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's our feelings is, you know, as important or even more so important. And I feel like I really want people listening, women with disabilities, whatever, to know that, you know, you need to do it for yourself, and your enjoyment, do up enjoyments. You need to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's the only way. It's the only way.
So, Oloni, you're always giving other people advice on their sex lives and their relationships, yeah, through your Twitter and everything like that. But who gives you advice? Where do you go when you want some advice?
Oh, where do I go when I need advice? I go to my friends. I feel like there's no one good or no one better than your friends. And I go to my friends who I feel like might be able to relate. I go to my friends who I think are just wise individuals. Because I have friends for different things. Like, I'm sure we all do. You know, if you're going through boy trouble, you've got that girlfriend you can call because you're just like, listen, she can make you feel better. She'll give you the words that you need to, you know, really feel good about yourself, or she'll just be able to relate and tell you stuff that she's gone through. You'll be able to have that really, really good kind of conversation. Do you know what I mean? Then you've got friends who, I don't know, if there's something wrong with your car, you can find you can call that friend because they know what to do, you know. So I would definitely say, I go to my friends and I speak to them. What else do I do when I need advice? Yeah, it's usually my friends or my sister. My sister's like my best friend. So we give each other advice, and she's my support system, I'm her support system. So yeah.
That's really good. And my last question for you is, what does the future hold for Oloni? What do you want to do career-wise and personally as well? Like, do you see yourself having a family one day, and do you want all that, like marriage and kids, or, you know, what does the future hold for you?
Oh my God, I want to take over the world. Do you know what I really do?
World domination.
World domination. I remember when I was 19 years old, I had a vision board, and it kind of creeps me out that I ticked everything that I wanted to do, because I wanted to and I expected to, but at the same time, it's still kind of scary. And I always used to say that my dreams used to scare me at night. And that's because I'm literally doing a lot of the things I wanted to do. But in the future, what do I want to do? Would I like to start a family? I have no idea. I've never ever been the type to be like, I want to get married, I want to do this. I feel like there are so many young women who were sold the idea or concept of marriage and kids, etc., etc. When I was younger, I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be a celebrity, to be honest. That's what I wanted. But I wanted to be a celebrity with purpose. And not that I'm a celebrity now, and I don't think I want to be a celebrity anymore, because, oh my God. But I'm happy with where I'm at in life right now. And I would just, everything I've got going on times 100 or times 10. Okay, times 10 and times 100 are two different things. So I'll only pick one. Times 10 is fine. So yeah, you know, if marriage ever comes, then that's amazing. If kids come, that's cool too. But I'm really cool with being that aunt that gives the children back. Right now, I just really want to focus on Laid Bare, my book, different streams of income, and just being a baby girl, enjoying life, you know, because life is for the living, and that's all I want to do, to be honest.
100%, and you deserve that. I think as well, it's sometimes, you know, it's good to just enjoy what we've got. Do you know what I mean? Enjoy what we're doing, enjoy what we've got.
Enjoy
and it's nice. Yeah, like, it's nice to look to the future, but who knows where it will hold. But Oloni, one thing that I wanted to say to you actually was, oh my God, no joke. I feel emotional. I feel like it's going to be the time of the month soon, but I can't. I get really emotional at the time of the month. I don't know what's going on.
I get really horny.
Do you? No, I feel really bloated and shitty and just weird.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say, I've said through the whole podcast, like, Laid Bare has been great. Like, I've loved listening to it, and I've loved discovering you as a Black woman, just talking about sex and being sex positive, because it was not around when I was losing my virginity at 19 and then I had a baby at 21. It was not about, and I was not like sex confident at all. And as I say, even doing my podcast talking about sex, I was so worried about what my mum might say or my sister, and now I don't give a fuck. It's not for them, do you know what I mean? The podcast is not for them. It's not for them. So sometimes your ears is not meant to hear certain things, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for honestly being a voice for young Black women. I don't know if you are aware of, you know, what you're doing is actually helping people a lot and making us feel so much more sexually like confident and positive, and it's really, really, really important. So I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody that comes on my podcast, I like to get them a gift to say thank you for giving me your time. So I've got you 3 gifts, okay?
Wow, you've already gotten me a gift before. No, oh my God, you're so sweet.
That was the invite.
So sweet. You're so sweet.
So the first thing, so I know you said on Lala's podcast that you'd moved house. So every house needs a cushion. So I've got you a cushion.
Oh my God, I love it.
And at the bottom it says, consent is sexy, and so am I.
Oh my God, it's
so
beautiful.
That's the first thing. And then the second thing, let me do this one. Okay, so I know that, do you have a lot of sex toys?
I do, girl. Girl, who you talking to? Come on.
So when you agreed to come on, I was thinking, okay, what can I get Oloni? What might she like? What might she like? And I was like, she don't need a sex toy from me because I know you got deals with Love Honey and all sorts. But I thought you might need somewhere to store your sex toys. So I've got you
that I do need.
a personalised.
Oh my God, oh my God, that is beautiful. Oh my God, no, oh my God.
And inside it says, stay happy, live your best life. That's my little slogan that I say at the end of every podcast. So I thought you could put, you know, some toys in there.
Oh, joy.
And then I was watching one of your interviews that you did with Pretty Little Thing, and you said that one of the things that got you into journalism was that you didn't see women that looked like you, so Black women in magazines talking about sex. Yeah. So then that got me thinking, and I thought, you deserve to be on a magazine cover, Oloni.
Oh my God, this is amazing. This is actually, oh my God, you're gonna make me tear up, Joy. You really do live up to your name.
Big. It's really big.
Oh my God,
but it's you. I created your Instagram. I took a screenshot, and I thought this is a good photo.
Oh my God, that is gorgeous, Joy. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you so. No, really. I'm honestly lost for words. These are amazing gifts. Wow. Listen, I'm honestly so touched. I'm speechless right now. Thank you so much. And I will say, whenever I need ideas for gifts, I'm coming to you, because that was 10 out of 10. And you've been, honestly, I've said this is the 3rd time, but you really do live up to your name. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's so hard. Honestly, I feel like such pressure being called Joy that I have to be happy. And I'm like, but no, like I as I say, I started this podcast from my bedroom 2 years ago, and now, you know, I'm getting people like you on, and I'm really happy and I'm really touched. So I like to get people things that I think they're gonna like. You never know, but I try. So I really hope you like it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it to bits. You're amazing, honestly.
You're welcome. Would you like to just quickly shout out like your Instagram, Twitter, tell everyone where they can find you?
Girl, I'm still lost for words right now, but honestly, you guys can catch me on all socials at Oloni or simply Oloni, my podcast, Laid Bare Podcast, on all socials as well. But yeah, make sure you check it out, and keep it locked on Laid Bare Podcast.
Guys, remember to follow your dreams and follow me on Instagram at Joy's World of Podcast. Follow me on Twitter, although I don't really tweet, at JoyXOXO. Email me if you're a hot guy or a hot girl, joyspodcast@hotmail.com. Remember to stay happy and live your best life always.
Yes.